Hey folks, I'm Guy Kessim in the Tester Man, and I'm out on the Mason Macro again for a little bit of tyre testing. Guess the overwhelming comments so far after the build up have been, you should try these tyres, or how does it compare to a gravel tyre, how does it compare to a full sus, all those kind of things. So this is a very informal, non-scientific ride with the mates, lad science exploration of all those things. Because Ryan's out front on a Mondraker Podium FS running Recon Race and Icon. Then we got Graham shredding it out on the Planet X Tempest with the most underrated gravel tyre in the world, the classic WTB Nano in 40mm. And then behind us, we've got multiple World and Paralympic champion Steve Bate on the gravel bike on some monster Terravails, right Steve? You're on big Terravails, aren't you, dear?
I am indeed.
So basically, we've got most of the rubber bases covered. I'm going to go out for a few hours and see how it rolls. So, hope you enjoy coming along for the ride. As for changes on the Mason, one of the most popular requests in terms of tyre testing was getting the Maxxis Team Issue Aspen STs on there. So these are the 2.4s, and they're blown up to 63mm, sort of setting them up at 40 psi. Could have dropped them down to 20 because that's what I was running the Schwalbers at, so they've probably shrunk a bit, but they're certainly not undersized, I don't think. So that's good. The tread is, so far, frankly, super sketchy in terms of braking. As soon as I even tickle the brakes, that back tyre's sliding with that bigger 180 rotor. And also, because I'm a chump, I gleefully found a matching rotor with adapter. But I didn't check. Although it's tightened on, I didn't check that it wasn't still rattling. So we've got a lot of rattle at the back of the bike now, and also a bit more at the front because I put the kitchen sink bar bag on for some snacks because we're out for a few hours. But the downside of that is I can't get my hands into the hoop for a firm grip. So see how much that annoys me going forward. The actual unzipping zipping thing works really well though, and having the GPS mount on top is a nice touch as well. Oh, and final niggle before I forget, the bottle cages are really close together, and there's 3 bottle bolts on the down tube, but that's literally as far as I can get them apart, and they're touching, which isn't an issue, but on the frame of this quality I'd want a couple of millimetres of airspace, I reckon. But one thing I will say, already with these fat tyres on, it's a lot more forgiving of one-handed filming on bumpy, rutty terrain than a gravel bike would be. However, this bag does mean that you can pretend that you're a VW Beetle owner or a Porsche owner and stuff your gear in the front there. That's a bit of hair action. Oh, turn through here. Good, Ryan's overshot. He's going to be right back on me though, I reckon, on that full sus. So it feels like I could just, another hair over there, brilliant. Feels like I could just lose a bit of pressure out of these tyres. Lean them as well, a bit more. So obviously, bigger volume tyres, at the same pressure, actually feel a lot firmer. Now, having said that, well, I ain't along here. Yeah, when you do roll it in, it's got a bit more rubber on the ground. I don't think it's got any more tread on these Aspens, but oh, there, this is where you need a bit less pressure. Getting checking about there on this brake stuff. Oh, that ruddy rear disc. What a muppet move. But through divots like that, really nice and smooth still. Come on. There we go. If you do lean the Aspens over, there is some bite. And what's interesting, I found, it's interesting what you notice with a rigid fork, not a suspension fork. So obviously there's a bit of a change in geo with a suspension fork as you push it into a turn. And I found that without that, you could really notice, because that racing ray's got sort of teeth like that on the sides. When you tipped it in, it really slowed the tyre down and tucked it in tighter. So kind of pulled you into the turn more. Whereas that's not happening on this Aspen. It's a very neutral, a lean in, because there's much less tread on the shoulders. Yes folks, that's how nerdy I get about my tyres. But then when your reviews would be rubbish if I didn't, eh? Oh, tricky bit, gear down. Oh. Yeah, you're definitely on a rigid fork then. But lovely acceleration. Big fat gravel, still winning. BFG feels fun, and it's not so much when you're pushing on, when you just ease off a little bit. It just feels like it's got a really nice kind of run on. There's a real flywheel effect to these bigger tyres, which is lovely for distance and speed. Skid, because Aspens. It's Steve on his bike, and he's actually running Travail E-line 2.3s, so that's a proper chunker. It's a Salsa, is it, Steve?
Mm-hmm. Salsa Cutthroat.
Nice.
The OG.
Yeah, big tyre clearances. Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff where a lot of the US gravel races are saying that mountain bike tyres are faster. It's sort of hard packed, slightly loose gravel that makes up a lot of the roads used in events over in the US. But it's also where this redshift bar comes in to get me a little bit narrower, a little bit more aero. Does genuinely seem to help. Just makes the gear spin a bit easier. Although, like I say, I'm kind of clutching onto it more now rather than actually getting my hands inside it. There's a bit in there. So there we go. The whole point of testing. Try stuff out, see whether you like it or not, and then tell you about it. Just going to get Ryan's wisdom about gravel on camera.
Well, we were just saying, with the recent developments this week about suspension forks, dropper posts coming on vogue in gravel.
Yeah.
Tyres are getting wider and wider again.
Rift fork from Canyon.
Sure. I can't wait for the update that says, actually, flat bars, the fatigue benefits are really worth investigating.
Yeah.
And then where are we going to be?
Flat bars with little bar ends or tri bars for the win.
Who knows?
And I have to say, some of the drawings I've already seen, the bikes that will be launching this summer.
Bring back V-brakes!
We've got to bring back V-brakes from Graham at the back. Not sure that's happening, but let's just say, if you're fans of amp research full suspension bikes in the 1990s late 80s, then you're gonna love what some of the spindly weirdness coming out from big brands this summer in longer travel gravel are gonna look like. But that's all I can say right now. Interested to see how they go. Graham pushing the pace on the tarmac. You can see, if you look at those nanos, he's actually sat on a very, very thin strip of rubber. So there's minimal drag there compared to the Aspens, which are kind of light grey across the whole top. This is where he's getting that rolling advantage from. Plus a little bit of aero as well. So on pure tarmac, I think gravel definitely has it. Which I don't think anyone would be surprised by. You might recognise this next section from that Guava gravel bike video I did recently. So it'll be interesting to see how the Mason goes around here. Nice little double track loop. Mixed surface. Slight rise and fall with some real sharp turns on it, so I have to see how bigger tyres. Still drifty, just have to see how that works. Just got to get a bit more confident with them, I think. It certainly feels effortlessly quick over this stuff. This seems like pretty much its sweet spot. Just slightly rough, loose terrain like this is where these tyres are loving life. Bit of a squeeze up there. Oh, sorry, I just found a bit of a squeeze up there. No, sorry. Ruined it.
What?
The speed corner.
Oh yeah, the Cape corner.
Ruined our Cape Epic moment. Oh yeah, definitely. Pedal through those with more commitment. And also someone pointed out BB drop is less on this bike than most gravel bikes, so you've got more ground clearance for pushing through the turns too. And keep the power on. I don't know if you've ever noticed, watching cyclocross, a lot of the best cornerers actually pedal through turns as much as possible just to keep the bike well balanced and gripping, or just consistent. And it really does work when you can get away with it. I don't know, it just puts you in a positive frame of mind. That feels great along here. Really good. Tip it in. Yes. Nice. Rollable slide. A little bit of a step out. Oh, you swine! Let it open. It's Koretsky versus Pidcock. And the man from Leeds gets it again. And then we're into the roughest section. Full suspension. It's giving him the advantage. Damn him. I was just about to say, one day I'll get him. But that would imply he's either ill or injured. And I don't want to wish that on him, so I'll just have to suck it up. Flat white. Nice for coffee, sketchy for corners. Alright. Knee in. Oh, little power skip coming out. probably, sorry, all you can probably see is top tube. See what Strava has to say about this. There is a headwind though, so it'll probably say, nah, not today, mate. Not today. Oh, yes, drifting. Drop some pressure out the front tyre now. Feeling a lot smoother. Back end still rattling like a nightmare, but this feels like I'm carrying speed, holding grip more easily through these rattly baked bump sections. I'll do a pressure check and stick it in the captions when I get back, but I'm guessing about 17 psi now. Oh yeah. And it doesn't feel radically different on the road either. In fact, it doesn't feel different at all. Oh. Should have hopped it. Yay, there we go. Right. Damn you.
The camera.
How's that for some summer gravel crops? It's just a little bit more forgiving. It's funny because you kind of roll along like a mountain bike, and then you come to a climb, and it's just, I mean, unsurprisingly, it just sits right in the middle. It's got that urgency out the saddle because you don't have to worry about suspension, but then it's just got that extra bit of rubber to roll up little sections like that. It'd be a little more nervous about on a gravel bike. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Graham edging ahead there. A whopping 18 kilometers an hour. Graham has the edge. But you know, it's not dramatic, is it? So, what's the conclusion here? Well, in terms of rolling science, I think you can safely say there's not a massive difference between a very fast XC mountain bike tyre and a gravel tyre. Perhaps unsurprisingly, gravel tyre, or the gravel bike at least as a whole package, is faster on the tarmac, but as soon as it gets a little more looser, a little lumpier, mountain bike tyre, even on a rigid bike, definitely comes into its own. And the other effect that, you know, you can't measure on a drum in Finland is it just feels more fun. Feels like I can get away with more. I can push a bit harder through the turns. It's going to be interesting to see what those Strava numbers were. That's kind of the gravel equivalent of Tron with all those hot dog turns on that section me and Ryan pushed on with. But I think, you know, bigger tyres on gravel, certainly if you're going for distance, or if you just want to arse about a bit more, then just give you more grip, more confidence, but be prepared to drop the pressures low enough to let them work. You know, I think a lot of people are running around on bigger tyres without really dropping the pressure, and they're just going to get battered. Maybe with that even kind of Emperor's New Clothes situation, they'll go, well, no, it must be better because they're bigger, whereas in fact the fluid dynamics of it mean you have to drop the pressures quite aggressively to actually get a smoother ride from bigger tyres. Because that pressure, basically because the pressure's acting over a bigger area. There's a link to a really good Silker article from a while back that Ian Alexander from White put me onto, so if I can find it I'll put that in the description. So definitely not an exhaustive or scientific test, but in terms of going out and having fun, I've had an absolute riot. on this Mason, and while ultimately Ryan's Mondraker is probably faster over a much wider range of conditions, and if I was properly going to go a long distance, I'd go to a full sus. Just because I'm an old man who's going to get rattled to bits and be able to just sit there and spin away, because you are still ricocheting about a bit on this bike. That I know from doing trials early on the Cervelo compared to the Chisel is a big advantage in terms of just having an easier time. But then you're looking at a much more expensive package to get a full sus bike that light. The forks alone are going to be 70% of the cost of this frame of forks, and obviously this is a top end frame of forks, so you could save a lot of money by going with something cheaper. Yeah, it definitely feels like a control and comfort wind down little cobbly sections like this. Super smooth now, I've dropped the pressure out of it. And one thing I'd definitely say is, if you're worried about an alloy bike being at all harsh, which is kind of the traditional messaging around metal, then this Mason totally refutes that. It's got a proper, almost titanium-y feel about it. A real float and spring and glide, while still being light enough to get a really good squeeze on. Really likes those kind of gradual tempo climbs like this. Just feels super buoyant and encouraging. Not a slog in the slightest. Keep my mountain bike tyres on. So, thanks as ever for watching. Just coming along for a ride with me, Ryan, Graham and Steve. Hopefully it's been entertaining, slightly informative. Click for subscriptions if you want to see more. Notifications if you don't want to miss the next instalment. I'll go back, I kind of did some proper bikes, to be fair. This is a bit of a weird one really. So, get some proper mountain biking next with the new Pivot Trail Cat. And if you really like what I'm doing on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon via the link at the end. But for now, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, talking about the Mason Macro. Not just an adventure mountain bike, but just super versatile, super fun one as well. Really looking forward to doing a lot more stuff on this, and particularly get some new tyres on here. These Maxes are quick, but they're sketchy, and I'm keen to see how they shape up against those new Conti Dubnitals and the Specialized tyres, which are a lot lighter.